Aerial vehicles in Crossout? Greetings, survivors. Very soon large-scale battles involving aerial vehicles will begin in the wasteland. Fasten your seat belts. Sky Raiders are approaching. You've already had the opportunity to try out armored aircraft. But that was just the beginning. Now the majority of the factions have mastered these technologies. Some have developed them themselves, others have stolen the blueprints from their neighbors. In any case, just about everyone has their own air fleet now, which means you will too. With the update, which is planned to be released next week, armored aircraft will become an integral part of Crossout, just as armored vehicles and Leviathans are now. This means that there will be a new slot in the garage that will store the air monster you've assembled. The armored aircraft assembly will be no different except for the requirement to have a rotor, or even a couple if you want. Speaking of rotors, there will be several types of them in the game, each with its own characteristics and features. In addition to that, you can expect the appearance of other parts that will help in ground air battles. An anti-aircraft autocannon, a bomb launcher, heat traps for deflecting rockets, everything that will help you establish your superiority on the changed battlefield. Mixed battles between armored vehicles and armored aircraft will be available as part of separate missions based on the already existing get the scrap metal, get the wires, and get the batteries at the same time. The old modes will also remain in the game. This way, you will still be able to take part in exclusively ground-based battles. In addition, with an armored aircraft it will be possible to enter the patrol. Back on patrol and bedlam modes, there will be no division into ground and mixed battles, raids, confrontation, clan wars, and other modes not listed above remain solely ground-based at the moment, but it's possible that in the future, air battles will become a part of these modes as well. In order to test themselves in aerial combat as soon as possible, each player will receive their starting armored aircraft when they reach reputation level 10 with the Engineers faction. For those whose level is higher, the aircraft will be issued automatically. This is just a brief description of what awaits you in the new update. If you want to see more and ask your questions to the developers, be sure to join our livestream, which will take place on Tuesday, October 10th, on the official Crossout YouTube channel. See you soon.
Okay, cool. How many blueprint slots will you add to the game to accommodate an entirely new vehicle slot and type of craft? You should give Helicopters plus Leviathans its own 32 plus 28 slot blueprint tab so we can have separate tab alongside the players, factions, and pack build tabs. Hashtag free the blueprints. Literally this. Wanna give me more shit to build? Cool. But you wanna take the limited slots y'all wallet chasers give me? Getting annoying, really annoying. For real, I won't come back to the game unless I get some new slots to save stuff. I'm in the process of grinding for rarer parts for a more powerful vehicle so that I will one day be able to take part in raids for electronics so that I can manufacture more blueprint storage and just start building vehicles straight out of the woodwork. Wait, if they are also adding anti-aircraft weaponry, would it work like it does in Robocraft? Where the flak shells activate on anything that's above ground like hovers. If the anti-air gun works against hovers, then I might actually return to Crossout. But the devs love hovers more than anything else in this world, apart from dogs. So they will most definitely ensure that it will have no effect on them. Skill issue bro, skill issue. Skull issue bro. Wheels are currently my favorite movement type, and I used to run hovers almost exclusively some months ago. You just noob. Okay. The hovers are fast, but their resistance is not the best, they can become destabilized. The important thing is not to fall into their game. Like hovers, what they do is get away and keep their distance to harass. That's what this game is about, and the co-pilots help us. Jade, ranged harassment, concentrated damage in a single shot. Billy, ranged harassment with cadence, cumulative damage per shot, each shot accumulates the skill faster. Gryzzly, frantic harassment, increases resistance in battle, and only in battle, it is not defensive, since you sacrifice armor. Yuki, surprise harassment, attacking from behind increases and accumulates the skill. Phobos, I still don't understand how it works. I don't use the others much. But that, harassing, keeping your distance, supporting your teammates, not letting them surround you or going into enemy territory, etc. Grizzly is defensive? He is built for heavies but is the best all-rounder since he gives a reduction in damage and slightly raises mass, adding health. But the activation of the skill works better when attacking, not to escape. Defense is not run away, that's running away, and attacking or defending, you are still taking hits. The best defense is the attack, they say. What I mean is that it is not useful to only use the skill just to withstand the damage. You must take advantage and deal damage while the skill is active. Thanks for making me paste that into Google. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to stand there and get drilled. He reduces incoming damage and that is defensive. Took you a while to change that into English. Wheels are a pure counter to hover's W fire. If you're not ass, stop driving straight at people and getting drilled, learn to play. Ah yes, the old don't like X meta, then use this very specific yet equally hated Y meta to counter the previous aforementioned X meta. Wow, so insightful. This is exactly what people are complaining about. Because the only wheeled build truly effective against hovers are fire, yet hovers can literally use any weapon in the game and dominate every other build regardless of movement part that isn't explicitly a dog. And somehow you don't see a problem with that. Feel free to use other weapons on your dog, some are still good against hovers, and no, I don't see a problem with that. Go play a different game if you don't like how the mechanics work. Well, that'd justify a thing or two. Let's see what the devs' preferences are. Will they make an exception for the hovers or not? You will still be able to take part in exclusively ground-based battles. Good. As long as you are playing PvP, cause fuck patrols, as usual. No, the versus bot game. It will be easy quick fun farm-shotting stationary bots with AC-72 from max range. For heli builds in our team, sure. But as a wheel-exclusive player, I won't even see those bots wrecks at the time when I finally get there. No way they can program heli bots. Remember the last mode? All bots were on the ground. Honestly had such low hopes that the devs would have common sense to keep helicopters in their own separate modes. Loudly crying face, I'm so glad that they actually made that good decision, after all their bad decisions. Increase free blueprint slots if you're adding a new vehicle class? How many blueprint slots are we getting you /Faily016? I foresee a shitstorm in the future.
Thank fuck that you'll still be able to do ground-only battles. With the awful decisions you've been making, I'm so glad that you actually came through in making a good decision, in keeping them in their own separate modes. See no evil monkey, this goes to show that people don't have hope for the decisions you normally make and don't back down from Skull. But the next issue that you're adding to by doing this, is the lack of blueprints. Can we expect the current amount of ground build blueprints, to be the same for helicopters? I like how they've kept things separate. With modes, I say let people have a choice. However, I don't care for the sparse and short-lived confrontation mode. Imagine the outrage if they add helis to CW Skull. Did you, or did you not, intentionally call back to our /Desquanto S1000 coin winning video, wherein his rocket plane is christened Sky Raider? Oh, it's an homage for sure. The man, the myth, the legend. You are losing your player base fast and put up a mode splitting it even more. You really have no fucking idea how to manage the game. People were complaining about hovers before, now the devs are going in the direction where flying is the priority. Rip tracks even more, rip wheels too. We just can hope this will attract more players. Why, let's fucking go. This looks fun as fuck. I will shred with my millers, lol. I'm scared, to be honest. I think they rezzed a meta. Flying avalanche. Flying destructors will be the real threat. I remember them killing most heli builds with 2 or 3 mouse clicks last Christmas. No. I hate destructors. Too overpowered for what they do. I remember buying 2 Hurricanes, 2 Argus and a Harpy just for off we go. I still have the Harpy and some Pyres but no more Hurricanes or Argus sadly. Mixing helis and ground-based vehicles will be a disaster for this game. By having both ground PvP and ground-air PvP at the same time, you're again splitting the player base in half, longer queues and constant 4 bots in a team. Do not make it a permanent thing, the balance will already go out the window. In addition to that, you can expect the appearance of other parts that will help in ground-air battles, an anti-aircraft autocannon, a bomb launcher, heat traps for deflecting rockets, everything that will help you establish your superiority on the changed battlefield. So selling a solution for a problem that you made? Will you charge us cross crowns for that? Also, since the heli will have its own slot like the Levi, then that mean we'll need even more blueprint slots. And some of us already have it maxed out. Of course you didn't mention that problem here, did you? Would you seriously prefer they don't add the extra modules to address the community's correct concern over the lack of air defense capabilities? It's not like they invented air combat, it's not a problem of their creation. They added something people asked for since the game's inception, but didn't add in the things that are absolutely necessary to air combat the first time. This time around, they are trying to address the lock-on weapons to give the naive fools a chance with their weapons that don't belong in the air. It's not gonna help them that much. The idea of using most weapon types in the air is fundamentally flawed. He is right about Q times though. As for mixed mode, sure. If someone's brave enough to sacrifice 2 to 5 energy point for anti-air equipment to even have the slightest chance to fight back. Who am I to judge? I know for sure I wouldn't put myself in that big of a disadvantage on the ground. As long as they keep the ground-exclusive mode intact, including patrol for fuck's sakes, everyone's free to decide about their fighting chances. So this is what you wasted time you could have spent unfucking your player base leaving issue on. Been genuinely waiting for your response since the announcement went live. Can you imagine? Like all the whining and crying we did in the past weeks/months did nothing but fuel their amazing decision-making department. I was expecting a worse heli mode, instead we got this shit. Whoever is in charge of responding to players needs to be fired if they think they can just throw stuff like this at the idiots that accepted a fraction of the solo badges back and act like everything will be fine. Hell, when they inevitably make the change that all battles and raids are mixed, it'll probably kill the Clan Wars player base due to equalizing Clan Wars by making the skill ceiling so low it's bumped into. I'll soon get to a point where I'll be rooting for the worst mistakes they could ever make, just to finally push the player base over the line of irreversible dissatisfaction. Maybe then they'll actually think about what went wrong in their book of successful game development. Have you seen some of the players here? You could give them literal shit and they'll claim it's priceless gold. Honestly, I don't even know how to feel anymore. I'm just getting tired of hoping for something better. This game could be such a great experience. I genuinely feel sorry for its lost potential. In the end, the badge system is better now. They removed the requirement to do raids at all and you can just do invasion, saving hours of time per week. If you're on an active clan and do confrontation, you end up with more badges than before per week. I wasn't even doing raids before BC, they boring as. Now with invasion it's so easy. Basically this is true, except the fact that there is a huge if. If you are on an active clan and if you do confrontation. Which most of us aren't/don't, by choice. And there's a reason for that. Expanding our options are always welcome, but stricting them, not so much. The problem is always the same, forcing people to do something they don't want to just to maintain the previous state. If this isn't a downgrade, don't know what is. I'll be curious to see the effect this has on the long-time CQC-focused gameplay we've had since forever. This might have a really positive effect on balance. This isn't one of the things Targem should be focusing on right now, but it's a welcome distraction. What if the majority of the remaining players will realize, with playing helis, they have a superior advantage over any other build, or disadvantage when playing anything else, aka become the new meta. Then XO will be the new, next-generation post-apocalyptic, flight simulator, leaving a handful of players in the game's original game modes, standing in lines for 20 minutes or so. A huge change, indeed, and a great distraction, too, but mixing ground and air, really? Everyone knows there'll be no point in playing ground vehicles in mixed battles. Do you not remember last time, maybe weren't in the game yet? Almost everyone gave up on the flying because of the people like me who decided that decades of design development indicated good weapon choices, further supported by OODA analysis. People learned why you don't put forward-firing cannons on helis. So, last time around with helis, it was the exact opposite. People who don't understand air combat, most of us, utterly abandoned the air and played ground vehicles to farm the bots for points instead. I may have misunderstood something about bots, since I haven't played the mode. And I get that people won't invest much time to develop a whole new design for an event that lasts for, I dunno honestly, a couple weeks, then gone. But from now on, when it stays permanent, players will have the motive to experiment, and eventually there'll be a heli meta too. The question is, will it be better than ground vehicles or not? Either way, it doesn't really matter that much to me, as long as there'll be an option for ground-exclusive patrol missions too. Just quit the double standard, and make it the same ground-only and mixed like with PvP. Seems to me that the devs have no interest in encouraging patrol-only play. It's meant to be practice for fighting actual opponents. On the other hand, certainly would be useful to be able to test your helicopters besides in custom matches, which I suspect you won't even be able to do at first. When I started playing in 2019, didn't even know what patrol is. And haven't played the mode until this summer. It took this long for me to be fed up with seal clubbers and meta slaves, and retire to patrol. Maybe I'm not that competitive anymore, not getting that much scrap or XP, but I have much more fun without those tryhards. It's enough to cope with those that are on my team, doesn't need them in the opposing team as well. Sorry, not the last event, the original Off We Go event, I meant. No worries, I was sure you meant that, winky face. Especially as most times you can't look up to any great degree, unless you zoom in, losing orientation. If you'd played the last heli event, you'd know ground vehicles became the meta on 2 of the 3 maps due to bottom farming and how scoring/victories in the game mode worked. I haven't, so these are just assumptions. And if by bot farming you mean the heli bots were stuck on the ground, I highly doubt they haven't fixed that issue before implementing such a significant change. But again, I'm just guessing, maybe I'm all wrong. Time will tell, but I have a really bad feeling about this. They didn't have any bots that were helis, but the matches were 8v8, so a lot of times, I play on console, but I'd heard similar on PC, there could be 4 bots per side. Someone would join as a retcher build, matches has a PS limit as well, and destroy bots, quickly scoring enough points to win the match. The helis were superior in many 1v1s, but 2 of the maps had a lot of cover. The bigger open map, like you said, helis would destroy anything. Hopefully they've accounted for some of those things in this new mode, but I guess we'll see. I'm sure there will be issues, so you're right to worry. Last time, there were no heli bots. All bots were ground pounders. So people who couldn't air combat just farmed bots on the ground. I understand your concerns, but it seems they be adding a few features to counter-attack aerial builds as mentioned on the post. I have somehow made it a separated comment instead of being part of this thread, but at what expense? 2, 3, 5 energy points wasted on those. For some builds, 12 to 16 wasn't even enough to fight only on the ground, now you have to deal with helicopters too? Our builds will be just as divided as the player base queuing for battles. If you want to stay viable on the ground, you won't use any AA thing. Or the other way around, you equip a shit ton of AA stuff, leaving you useless on the ground. There may be some middle ground, where you aren't that much useful at either area. Well, instead of guessing that grounded vehicles are going to be left behind and be useless, let's wait for the day of the update and then we can criticize if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't have high expectancies, but I don't have it as low as the many people here. We can't just make things up from words at first glance. Once we see what they mean exactly about the things mentioned in this post-in game, then we give the opinions and feedback about it. Currently it keeps me from leaving, on the other hand I can understand you. The whole thing will be hell in the first few days. 3. You are 100% correct, I mean it, really. And I genuinely couldn't care less about this new mode at all, if they'd make it an option, not a feature. We are obviously talking about patrol only, since original PvP stays intact, just like patrol should be too, even if ground vehicles turn out to be superior. I just simply don't want to fight helicopters in my car. All I'm asking is, leave patrol as it is now, basically to do nothing. I don't think that's too hard. Glad you understood. As for patrol, I know it wasn't a great option. I think they are testing to see if people like the idea of both helicopters and ground vehicles to be in a casual gameplay. As for Bedlam, makes more sense why they removed the invisible walls. I love Bedlam and I play it all the time to chill. Eve already found 3 maps where you can now get out of bounds because of a hole in the outer wall: Ship Graveyard, Sinto City, and Eastern Highway I think it's called. And now I can use helicopters in my favorite mode. Next week will be a good week for me, beaming face with smiling eyes. If you can't get to helis in War Thunder, you can now do it in Crossout. P.S. Patrol Bros, we lost again. Heli in War Thunder play like if that can reposition faster, sit behind rock/hill and spam Atom. In Crossout it's actually fun. Well, that is the core of their real-world usage. Good luck for everyone playing patrols with ground vehicles. 'Cause creating separate modes for patrols are too much effort, sure. It's the same shit as with the dailies. For the devs to implement something new, they have to take back something already working for Exchange.in. This case, we'll get a brand new game mode with different mechanics, and at the same time, ruining the patrol experience for everyone not using helis. GJ again. Feels like a prelude to heli confrontation, much like we have Levi clan wars. Just another thing to force people to play for their clan rank and stuff. Sad thing is people will do it and eat it up and then say thanks for it, just you watch. Well, I don't see anything significant that stands in the way of happening about the process you mentioned. Though I have nothing against it, as long as they don't ruin, which they will, as for now, anything else in the process. I really don't know why do they, now I can say continuously, keep messing up already working features when they implement new stuff. I guess that's how capitalism works. If we can't charge you for patching our game, we'll force you to play the changes. Great way to alienate anyone who started playing in the past years. I really don't know why do they, now I can say continuously, keep messing up already working features when they implement new stuff. They've done this for years. The game wasn't even out half a year when they added hovers and tanked the game. Ever since it's been terrible choices and straight up scummy profit-riven changes. 2021 mid-2022 the game actually felt super fucking good, balanced and fun. But we can't have that, gotta fuck something up and make the player base pay to have slice of joy back. It's just beyond my understanding how hard can it be to not change anything working properly. It feels like, as I mentioned before in another post, that they change things for the sake of changing, doesn't matter if for the good or for the bad. And I get that every once in a while every long-running game needs significant changes to freshen up a little, but out of all the problematic features in the game, just look at our ABC in the recent days, that list Jesus, why do they choose something vastly different, already in a good enough state to mess up? Now you can transfer hover into aerial combat. But hovers only hover above the ground, they don't actually fly. Hovers use the ground effect to stay above the ground, without the surface underneath them they do not create enough lift and fall. They can change it. But they want, come on, it's Targem and Gaijin. Adding another mode will dilute an already stretched playbase. This is going to increase wait times for all matches, which will have a much higher chance of 4 bots per team. I don't think mixing ground and air vehicles is going to work, feels like a compromise. Time will tell. Maybe the sweats will stay in one mode and the shitters will stay in the easier of them. Worst idea since hovers. That sounds very very interesting. Whole new level of XO vehicles. Wow, that's some breaking news. Totally unexpected. It's like Crossout v.3. I, for one, am very excited with all these new possibilities, and it's just the beginning, 'cause it will continue to evolve. Also, I expect the influx of new and returning players. This is actually pretty exciting and, at first read, seems well designed, excited to have a reason to play XO again. If you introduce hover in the same way the game will be much better. Even now it is not too late to introduce a hover-free ground-based game mode. Very much agreed. Hovers are not the problem, your skill is. Hover is simply out of place from how the game used to be. It introduces a completely new balance system that will never merge with the existing one. Even if you find counter-meta, the game will just not be as interesting as before. I seem to have no problems with hovers and I play 17K. I really don't understand the balancing issue, to be honest. Can't wait to fly again, smiley face. I wonder if there will be any PS limits, high or low, in the new mode. Fuck yeah, let's fucking go. I love the helicopters. It will be difficult for them to implement without changing the dynamic in a way that annoys people, but overall I'm very excited about this. Please make me have more issues and sell me the solutions. The Punisher is legit by definition, an anti-aircraft gun. Why are we getting one that claims to be on Skull? How about, don't do that. I'm already frustrated enough as I am with my market restriction. Because everyone and their grandmother has relics, right? It feels that way at mid-power score, honestly. Yay, airborne Athenas so that you can't even hide anymore. How about you add more blueprint slots for the new builds we're gonna have to make? Is it weird that I really want to play adventure of all things with an aerial vehicle? Actually, I also want a motive to play the adventure mode. Don't understand why it was nerfed. You son of a bitch, I'm in. Just when I thought I was done with this game, they found a way to pull me back in. This is pretty cool. This will be cool for like 2 days, then it will develop its own meta and become lame again. You guys ready to fight flying things that don't remotely resemble helicopters? Hover space stations are literally going to be able to orbit. Anyone adoring the idea of mixed battles are obviously going to play helis. And the rest of us, playing on the ground, will just entirely skip the whole mode altogether. And boom, player base split in half with a single update. Since queue times weren't long enough. No shit. I'd love this for Awakening. Another nail to the coffin of this dying pay-to-win game. Dude, just leave. You trash talk to trash talk. You don't like the game, then leave your shitty opinion somewhere else. It is not needed here now or ever. The game is trash now, and I will comment as much as I want. I did play it for years, was in a top-tier clan, can afford any relic, 10 of them if I want, 5k hours playtime. They destroyed the game out of pure greed and it will never have more players. They killed it, nipped in the bud. It never stood a change. I loved the game and they destroyed it. Don't like the truth, don't comment, leave. Your opinion is not needed here now or ever, as I know better. Aw, the little girl broke your heart, so sad, so you scream and cry about it to everyone that will listen like the sad child you are. You called LOL, stop crying. Bruh, this community isn't ever satisfied with anything. Like, just be glad that the devs are giving back helis, forget the free blueprint slots. You could see it as people are unhappy that the items and things currently in the game aren't balanced or in good conditions, yet the devs are ignoring it and just adding more stuff to the game, which means even more things being added that add to the problem that current things aren't in a good state. For example, if you were building a house, and the foundation was awful, the builders, or devs in this case, just adding more pieces like the walls for the house, then the floors, etc., that doesn't stop the issues that the foundation is a major concern that'll cause the inevitable collapse of the project, or game in this case. What needs to be fixed is what's currently present, rather than adding more to it. For example, clan wars. The clan changes were literally aimed at pushing players into clan wars. Why? Because players saw the fundamental flaws and didn't play when it was an option instead of being forced. Despite that long-ass list of unsolved problems in the game, which obviously should be priority, this would be a really nice addition if A. The mode wouldn't increase queue times for everyone. B. Implementing the new modes wouldn't affect other aspects of the game, patrol, negatively. C. The implementation would consider the player POV, yes, the blueprints. When both your hands are full, you just can't grab another gift. Yeah. Copter. Don't tell me that new battle pass will give one wing for aerial and second one you will have to pay extra to get. And you need 2 for aerial to work, DDDD. This is a nice moment to make possible to control the clarinet TOW rocket vertically. This would be good with crossplay and more blueprint slots. I'd prefer that they put some effort into fixing the problems in the game before adding more problems. Fix matchmaking. Oh look. 2 games in 1. I personally like the idea, assuming I understood it correctly. And how do you plan to stand your ground against two separate fronts at the same time? I'm genuinely curious. I don't need to. How UK managed to held their colony, USA, under their wing. Now, that's how. You fancy fly? You go flu mode. Fancy drive? Go usual mode. Way I see it. I do brawls for example. Neither sim either modes. Last week I just spending in Bedlam and having real fun. So all in all MMO 3 extra option would benefit game, as long as we stay shush about players amount. This could make things making worse, as less folks join your nakes, but also making game more diverse so maybe more players joining? Don't know. Thank you. I just needed a confirmation that people will really only play the new mode as helis. Sadly, for now, only. Hopefully we will have either this way, or if they add heli to main game at least keep non-flying mode somewhere, and I bet after flying enthusiasm dies out, most players still gonna mainly be playing no planes mode, especially if they add other kinds of air propulsion. Flying will also mean maps gonna have huge change, invisible boxes etc. This is what the helicarrier in the picture looks like in its entirety. The annihilators represent the 3 lift turbines. Posted on the exhibition on September 20, 2023. So it's in the game before the developers even add it in next week's update. And I assume it's the only one you'll be able to pilot, because the actual one will probably be a base to defend/attack and resurrect on. You can go to the exhibition right now, PC, and fly a helicarrier model. Enjoy. What are you talking about with anti-air weapons? We have anti-aircraft weapons. Increase their gun elevation. Remove flute lasers, give the TOW 3D flight. Buff cannons. Stop adding more shit that we need to pay for. It all started here. I'm excited, smiley face. An opt-in way to having aircraft permanently in the game without taking away anything in return? You're doing it entirely right. There won't be ground-exclusive patrol anymore, only mixed. Maybe that doesn't concern you that much, but it's just enough to say they still take away something in return. Patrol has always been kind of an anything goes to me, so I'm not bothered, and yes, it's one I play regularly. I only do PvE in Crossout unless I'm forced to go PvP for specific events/rewards. Edit. Well, I love having choppers in patrol, as it happens. So, I'm entirely happy with this update, smiley face. So I was right after all. By the way, there are 2 helicarriers in the first picture. I played only the helicopter in the special event. That was my funnest time playing Crossout. I'm hyped, this is incredible. The first time I've heard something good since the last few weeks. Can you please change the perks of the legs to the ability to slightly tilt up and down? This way it will be easier to aim higher without having to use side-mounted turreted weapons. Just an idea. Both the ML200 and Jarita perks are close to zero use in the current state of the game, the beginning of the end for Crossout. Once again, the devs not actually listening to feedback. People may have wanted the helicopter mode to come back/stay. Not for it to get mixed in with normal battles. Who there at Targem keeps coming up with these stupid ideas, and worse still, which freakin' moron approves those ideas? NO1 asked for these parts to be part of normal mission because even the majority of the player base can see how cancerous it will be. Why the fuck can't you people at Targem see that too? Oh yeah, and by the way, did your last patch actually change anything to Withythe, Catalina, or Athena? No. They are still OP. Why? Because you people have no idea what the frick you doing in terms of balancing. I am now convinced of this. Catalina needs its perk making slower to build up, and the overall perk needs reducing, significantly. Athena needs its range back and balancing properly. Like most weapons that deal heat damage. Including the freaking Destructor. The rate at which these weapons heat parts up needs reducing quite a bit. Balance the things you already have in game. Stop adding new stupid shit and properly balance what we already got. As I understand, it will be separate/additional mode for planes, not mixed. If it ever becomes standard, I may as well play War Thunder instead. LOL. In modern days all devs look up the player feedback, but not from forums. They are analyzing the gameplay data. It's not just XO, read interviews of other devs. POV, you don't use any of those parts you're complaining about. I have this strange ability to predict Gaijin's actions. I cannot wait to let my OC in the helicopter return to her mom's and tell them about all the flies she popped out of the sky. Mentioned clan wars, could do 1 week full Leviathans every session, 1 week full heli, 1 week just all normal builds, 1 week with all 3. Would help with the mode being stale. Just going to be spaced armor brick builds with rotors and buried missiles again. But I'll re-download the game and see what's up for a bit. LOL, nice, I got to practice more aiming from the air. Last time it was a mess, I couldn't land any shots with MGs, cannons or ACs. I hope we can save multiple builds though, got many ideas, you don't have to play planes LOL. Can't wait to have some helicopters. Meanwhile let's enjoy a song. Good job retarded devs, your matchmaker cannot even make solo versus solo on most played PS in-game PvP. Great idea, divide that last numbers, perfect braindead retardism. They will sound a new horn with this topic. Right? There are no excuses, that opera is in the public domain I think. They will put it on. Right? It will be free, right? This looks cool, I might re-download Crossout to check this out. What could possibly go wrong? Fix the broken builds you fucking faggot developers. There are so many fucking broken builds it's not funny anymore. Can you increase the save slot limit? How can I build helicopter crafts if I'm already full 30 seconds? Nice, but I have a chip modded Switch now so, pass. Bedlam gonna die with this update. I'm calling it. This is a scale model of the largest of what I assume to be 3 lunatic helicarriers. I just posted it on the exhibition, PC, so I'm sharing it here. This is a scale model of the largest of what I assume to be 3 lunatic helicarriers. I just posted it on the exhibition, PC, so I'm sharing it here. Comment image. The smallest of the 3 is shown in the 4th picture in this news post. In the picture, you can see 2 of those, lower left and upper right, but mostly just their tails. The tail is different because the smallest version doesn't have this long protruding platform in the back. But you can recognize the rotors and compare them to those on my model. Visit my exhibition and fly it before the developers add it to the game on Thursday. That's 2 helicarriers I added to the game before they do. There's already too many game modes in Crossout for the small player base. If you add more you should remove some. I hope I can use them in open world cause that's all I do with friends. Or plastic mission.